So thank you, everybody. Glad everyone could make it out, and thank you to Scott. Scott has an unprecedented history in the gaming space, and excited to just have a conversation with him today and pick his brain on a variety of topics. But really want to start with how you started in the business and what was your introduction to gaming?
Sure. And one, thanks for having me here, Brian. I'm a huge fan of VSiN. I'm a huge fan of the South Point. I live nearby. I've seen this property blossom over the years, and it's great to be here. Although I wish I was here a little bit later so I could have some of that VSiN blonde beer, but maybe I'll come back.
Absolutely.
My career in gaming started early on, right out of business school in New York. I worked as an investment banker for about 15 years in the lodging and gaming industry. I did a lot of equity and debt raising for casino companies as they were being developed. I got to know a lot of management teams and did that for about 15 years and realized the reason I was banking the business for so long is I actually loved the operations. I love gaming. I love the customer interaction. I loved everything about it. And what I liked about resorts or casino resorts is, we talk about them as gaming enterprises, but they're really these multifaceted places, right? So you have gaming, you have lodging, you have retail, you have food and beverage. So it's all the things I kind of like to do under one roof. And because of the times, I was doing a lot of restructuring at the time, kind of fixing troubled companies. And one of those clients happened to be our current president, Donald Trump. And he said, look, if you're interested in getting in the business, I've got a company that needs help. Would you consider coming and running that company? So I asked a bunch of friends, and everybody said, run, don't walk, avoid it like the plague. But took it on and actually had a really successful run and loved everything about it. It was a very difficult deal, but it was exciting at the time. And everything that was going on with Donald, and The Apprentice was starting, and here we were doing this massive restructuring at a time that the networks and NBC were promoting Donald as this sort of the epitome of business success. So it had challenges, from a PR standpoint, but really got to know and love the business. And then went on to work for a number of other casino companies in restructuring capacities, including Tropicana, after they were acquired in the Astar Columbia Sussex deal that needed a restructuring. Worked there for a number of years. I worked at Foxwoods for the Mashantucket tribe in Connecticut for about 4 years, and a number of development projects in between. And then after a long run in casinos, one of the things that I did get to know, similar to this property, is the properties I worked at had a strong affiliation in sports. And I always loved sports. You'll laugh when I say this, but I played football in college. You see what corporate America does to you. But had a love for sports, and there happened to be a small football league that needed help restructuring, and they saw gaming as a way of turning that around. So I went to work for the Arena Football League, and restructured them, and really saw how the whole sporting world worked, but how ways that people were consuming sports were changing. So when I was a kid, as a sports fan, you'd drive to a game, you go to the parking lot, watch the game, sit like this, have a beer and a Coke or a hot dog, and then drive home. And if your team won, you were happy, and if they lost, you weren't. Well, no one does that anymore. People really view sports as a form of entertainment where the sporting event is part of the entertainment. So if you go to venues now and it's relating around sports, you'll have great food and beverage, there'll be social interaction, there'll be a lot of other entertainment things going on while the sporting event's going on. So many times I'll be at a game and the game will end and someone goes, is it over? Who won? I'm just having fun. It's a place to meet people, etc. And really, we saw sort of the basis for PASPA. I saw sort of the basis for PASPA being repealed as part of that. A lot of it, again, had to do with the way people were consuming sports, and if they wanted this experience, they wanted to compete, well, what better way to have skin in the game than sports bet? So you could sort of see the writing on the wall for that. So when I had known MGM from my banking days, and our chairman, Jim Murin, and I actually went to the same college and were trustees of the same college, so we started talking about sports betting. And we said, hey, the sports fan is a great customer for sports, but for many other things that we do. And we sort of model our business around sports and things that people who like sports like.
Right.
So a lot of our sports fans, so we made a big investment at MGM in sports even before PASPA. we bought the WNBA team, the Aces. We worked with the NBA on Summer League. We co-developed T-Mobile Arena to bring the Knights here, and now and the Raiders as well. So we really saw how powerful sports could be for our business, but then even accelerated with sports betting. So that's kind of how I evolved into this business, and I think we knew it was going to be big, but what we didn't really fully appreciate is how universally accepted it would be by multiple factions that previously didn't accept sports. So leagues, legislators, fans, all kind of coming together and saying, hey, here's an opportunity for us, let's embrace it in ways that had never even been considered before. And VSiN's a great example. You guys were really revolutionary in what you've done with your network in promoting sports betting as a full-time network, whereas just a few years ago you couldn't even mention a betting line on a sporting event broadcast. So that's how it got here.
So it was interesting. One of the first things you did post-PASPA, it seems, was to reach out to the leagues and cut some pretty unique deals or revolutionary deals with each of the leagues. How are the deals with the leagues different?
Well, our deals with the leagues, first of all, we're very excited about all of them. They were quite revolutionary at the time. They were really the first to embrace sports betting. But unlike traditional sponsor deals, where you can have hospitality assets or naming rights, our deals are true partnerships where we kind of equally embraced with each of the leagues that we work with sports and sports betting and how to capitalize on that in ways that made sense for us. So in each of our league deals, we have real alignment on developing sports betting. We have integration of all our digital assets. One of the things that we thought was important was credibility, because unless you've been here, if you've been betting in other states, but you've probably been doing it either illegally or with some offshore accounts. So how do you give people credibility? Well, we thought if we had league sponsorship and league marks alongside MGM, people would be very comfortable with that. The ability to get official data is part of that as well. Again, giving people the air that this is extremely legitimate. So in each of our cases, we had good history in sports with the leagues, and this was sort of taking it to the next level, but as true partners.
So let's go into the league data thing. Why do you feel the need, and what is the benefit of having official league data?
Sure. Well, one, credibility, is probably the initial piece. But I think as technology evolves and as the leagues continue to embrace sports betting, we hope that it'll result in data that can be used that differentiates itself from regular way data. So you see a lot of the specialty data that leagues are looking at, like in hockey, you have puck and player tracking or shot tracking in basketball. Major League Baseball, if you look at their StatCast and what they've done, a lot of people are embracing this new data. So we're hoping to take that, and that does sort of three things. That specialty data, one, if you're a sport, it just enhances your viewing. People love seeing, launch angles and how fast a ball goes or how fast a pitcher throws a pitch. So it sort of embraces the watchability and the entertainment. It gives you information to be a more astute bettor. So if I know somebody has a more propensity to hit a home run, I might bet on that person hitting more home runs. But ultimately, where we're going, and it kind of relates to the deal that we did with GVC, where we worked with GVC's a European company. They were a leading sports betting company. We did a joint venture with them so that we could have their technology for sports betting. What we hope to do is take that specialty data from the leagues and create unique betting options, either through prop bets or regular way bets that others can't have. So it's a way to create some kind of unique experiences.
What would be an example of those? What would those bets be?
Who's going to throw the fastest pitch in a baseball game?
Do you think there's enough of would there be enough liquidity in a market to?
I think when we look at sports betting, one, there's the sort of professional sports bettor that you cater to in your network. But then if we for our business, again, looking at the millennials, and it sort of like relates to gaming in general, it's about entertainment. Right. So if we can keep people on our site longer, earning more points, rewarding them with loyalty at our resorts, that's really what we're going for. There's the whole entertainment experience, which we think will so it's a way of us investing in our customers so that long term, we hold on to that base and are able to, sell them many things essentially.
So what leagues, you're close to all of them, but what leagues do you think are in a unique position to grow the most as a result of sports betting?
I think they're all, they're all benefit, sort of equally. So it's hard to pinpoint one versus the other. I mean, everyone kind of talks about. I think the NFL is in. We don't have a deal with the NFL. If we're talking about leagues and sports, I think the NFL will always have a little bit of an early mover advantage because so much of betting takes place in the NFL. So if you walk around the conference and everybody sort of comes up with their new app, and it seems like the test case is always the NFL. So the NFL may get some early benefit, but I think in terms of the other leagues, NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, they've actually embraced sports betting more quickly than the NFL. So I think they'll get an advantage on understanding the business, and the NFL will get an advantage on just the sort of euphoria around NFL and the amount of volume that takes place on NFL betting.
So you guys surround T-Mobile where the Golden Knights play, and I get a tremendous amount of foot traffic through there. I'm curious what the behavior of the sports bettor and how you think the fan experience has been changed by having sports betting so close to a stadium.
I believe it's changing. It's going to change dramatically. And again, this gets back to my earlier comment. I think with sporting events, what we want to do is create. Thank you. Okay. I think what we want to do is create much more of a festival atmosphere around sporting events. So if you look at the Raiders, as you mentioned, we have properties right across the street. We're going to have tremendous Raider tailgates, for each team with new technology, with sports betting, with all kinds of food and beverage and entertainment experiences. So I think that people that consume sports are more likely to transact on sports. So if I'm going to a game, I'm gonna pay for food and beverage, probably above market pricing because it's the spirit of it. I'm gonna buy a jersey. I'm gonna bet on sports. So the more that we can get people engaged in sporting events, the higher volume of sports betting we believe takes place.
Right. How was the handle on hockey impacted by your proximity to the games? Have you seen a dramatic increase?
Well, sure. There's a lot of activity, and I think it'll increase even more so when the whole in-play gaming, which I think still has a lot of development. Right. I really believe in-play and in-game betting, where you're betting as a contest is taking place, is really the future of sports betting. And we're really in the nascent stages of that right now from a technology standpoint and a usage standpoint. I think when people are watching and seeing things and are able to sort of impulsively react and make a bet, that's when I think you're going to really see it accelerate. But there's no doubt having the Golden Knights here has created a lot of euphoria around sports betting, and I think the Raiders will accelerate that well beyond that.
So with the Knights and the NHL, do you think they will allow sports betting kiosks on the property? Is that?
I hope so. I think if you look at the rest of the world, sports betting it's not necessarily a casino event, right? So sports betting and sports books occur in casinos here because the only place you could really bet on sports was in Nevada, and Nevada at the time had casinos. Right. So they kind of ended up here. But in other parts of the world, you see much more sports betting at stadiums, at arenas, at betting shops, at areas that are specifically designed around sports. So I think that we will evolve into that, where you'll have hopefully in-game, either betting lounges or kiosks or experiences in venues themselves. And some states have already started to embrace that. So in Washington, D.C., that opportunity exists. Illinois is considering that opportunity. So it'll happen.
Right. So how do you think how does the customer differ if they're accessing your betting platform through either mobile or the kiosks? Are they different customers? Is it folks from out of town? A
little bit. I think mobile is much more of the entertainment customer. So mobile is much more of your millennial. It's that impulsive. Anybody who's sort of the professional bettor or the big money bettor, most of their stuff is done on a premeditated basis, pre-match, right. And that's much more about sports betting as a business, if you will, whereas the mobile and in-game during the match is much more of the millennial Gen Z entertainment-oriented bettor.
And what percentage of your handle comes from mobile?
Well, right now it's we have a big retail experience. In our 10 sports books here in Nevada and in Mississippi and New Jersey. So we have a big retail presence, but our mobile is growing much faster than retail. and we're seeing a migration from retail. So right now we do over $1 billion a handle in our retail books, and mobile's a fraction of that. But I see that surpassing in the next 2 years.
That's great. One of the things that you guys have been at the forefront of, you're sort of changing the brick and mortar sportsbook experience with the money line bars that you have, and we broadcast out of the money line in Atlantic City at the Borgata. Is that what you see as the future of the sportsbook?
Absolutely. I think it'll be both. So I think we always want to have sort of our traditional experience for more astute sports bettors who want to come in and do their research. And congratulations to Mr. Gahn and the South Point. They have a tremendous facility here. They should be very proud of what they've done. So you're always going to have that. But what we're seeing in Moneyline is, again, back to the whole, nobody just wants to watch sports anymore. So people want to come to a sports book and have a tremendous amount of fun. So Moneyline has as good a food and beverage experience as you'll have in any of our five-star restaurants. It'll have other forms of entertainment. You might have noticed there were like shuffleboard tables and other things to do. So it's really a place where people can meet and watch sports. And if you're at one of our money lines, during a big football game, or this weekend some of the playoff games, or some of the NBA games that are coming up, or March Madness, the experience is phenomenal. There's nothing like it if you're a sports fan. Right. So we really view that overall high energy, lots of visual, high-tech, TVs and screens and ways to make bets enhanced by mobile and increased data. All of that, we think, creates a very different and, again, high-energy, high-entertainment type experience.
So how do you calculate the value of a sports bettor to MGM?
For us, it's multifaceted. So again, we view sports betting as a portal to a lot of things. So we look at how much that customer's worth to us over a lifetime, not only for sports betting, but for sports betting and other things that they'll do, within our properties. And the multiplier is a multiple of 3 or 4 times what just sports betting would be. So sports bettors are extremely valuable to us.
And so, with that, what are you willing to pay to acquire those new customers? And
what's not going to get into that.
What's the most effective way to attract a new customer?
I think the most effective way to attract a customer is to have an outstanding product, right, and to have outstanding ability to reward an active user with that product. So what we like to say is a lot of folks are out with heavy advertising and heavy promo and bonus money, and that'll draw somebody in until somebody else offers them a little bit more. So if I make a $50 free bet, and then you make a $60 free bet, my customer goes from me to you. If I offer rewards to be able to stay at the Bellagio for a weekend, that's not somebody everybody can do. So I think having outstanding technology, outstanding product that's easy to sign up, easy to use, has a lot of different options is extremely important. I think technology is important, ease of use, simplicity, and then ultimate rewards.
So you guys have also entered into a series of media partnerships, and wondering what you look for in a good media partnership.
Yeah, and we're still actually involved in working on that. We do have a deal that we're very happy with Yahoo, which is really for integration into their fantasy network, which is just over 7 million people, and they're going to be doing some live streaming from our events. But in media, what you really want is we want the ability to basically broadcast what we do in sports and entertainment, across multiple platforms on a national basis. So when you have a media partner, you're not reaching, single-digit millions or tens of millions. You're reaching over 100 million people, and really getting out there with what your product is, who you are, and introducing them to sports and sports betting and MGM resorts. One of the deals we did was with Buffalo Wild Wings, where we're going to be doing sports betting lounges in each of their facilities. To me, they have over 1,200 units, in the United States. So to me, that's a way of bringing the sportsbook experience to mainstream USA. And again, similar to media, how can you increase that reach? So really, it's about something along the lines of what VSiN does, creating original content around sports betting, but in our case, more broadcasting live events and experiences so that people kind of see what it's like to enjoy sports as entertainment and be able to bet on sports.
One of the things we've noticed at VSiN is, yes, there's this hardcore audience that's very familiar, knows how to bet on sports. but the vast majority of sports fans are still intimidated by the board in the sports book and quite frankly don't know how to read it. How do you guys go about educating the consumer and
I think that's where a lot of this original content and ease of use on your mobile comes from. So if you can punch in your bets and you see if I bet X, I win Y, that's a lot easier for people to understand that are casual bettors who have never been bettors than plus 280 with 106 or that kind of stuff, and they're trying to figure it all out. By the way, being in the gaming business, you realize how quickly people lose their ability to do basic math when you're in a gaming environment. You get a blackjack table, I got a 5, a 7, what's that? So you really want to simplify it.
Right.
And I think, again, what VSiN's doing is goes a long way. I mean, it really introduces people to sports betting, gets them to understand it. And and back to my idea of creating sort of these festival atmospheres. If you create an atmosphere that's fun and introduces people to sports betting, maybe through a free-to-play game or something that's less intimidating than walking up to a window, you get them comfortable with it, you get them to understand it. So it's about simplicity, it's about information, and it's about kind of creating a sports betting experience as part of an overall entertainment experience that people are enjoying and just take it to the next level.
So this is a topic I haven't heard at any of these panels, but I was curious. I wanted to talk about problem gaming and how you guys, how a responsible operator identifies someone that has a problem with gaming, and what are the steps that should be taken to.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time on this because there are other parts of the world where this is a real issue, and we really don't want to have problem gamers. Again, this is about entertainment, not about making money. So one, we have a very strong program that we're proud of called GameSense, which is a really kind of interesting, fun way of introducing people to how to game responsibly. We do like myth. If you go on the site, you'll see myth busting. It'll say stuff like if I lose 4 bets in a row, the odds of me winning the 5th bet are greater, right? Wrong. Just kind of simple stuff. But it does teach people about gaming. And then what we do is we really monitor, through our technology and through the folks that we work with that provide data like Sport Radar and those types. We monitor every customer and their patterns. So if we see somebody increasing their betting amounts or just doing things that are unusual for that particular gamer, will immediately raise a red flag. We also provide a lot of opportunities for people to self-report. So a lot of times when people are calm, they'll say, hey, I want to limit my betting to X amount of dollars per week, and they can very easily go into our GameSense and other programs that we have and make that adjustment. But this is something we monitor quite a bit. We have a lot invested in our gaming licenses. We have one of the benefits we have is because we're such a large company, we spend a lot of money on these types of things for our overall gaming. It's as much an issue in any other form of gaming, so we have tremendous resources that we've dedicated to it. But we really want to make sure people are gaming for entertainment reasons, and it's enhancing their experience in sports as opposed to doing it because they want to make money.
Right. So what are the states that MGM is active in that you're most bullish on for 2020?
Yeah, well, right now we're active in obviously Nevada, New Jersey, and Mississippi. There's I think 5 or 6 states will be active in the upcoming year. Michigan just approved just before New Year's gaming. Very excited about Michigan. I think they, I think if you look at the regulatory environment, who creates the best environment? You want to have reasonable tax rates, ability to get licensed, and some limitation on competition. So I think that Michigan provides that. They have a wide open platform that allows for not only sports betting but iGaming, and the two really relate to one another really well, which is what we've seen in Europe, as well as the ability to bet on amateur sports. So we like that. Indiana looks like it's off to a good start. We're very hopeful that Illinois, Ohio, and Massachusetts will get their act together this year. Iowa, Colorado. So in the last sort of 6 to 8 months, we've really seen acceleration. And we're hopeful that sometime by 2023-ish, give or take, you'll have 30 some odd states active in gaming with reasonable formats.
That's great. So every panel ends with a question about who you're picking for the Super Bowl. I want to do it a little bit differently. I'm curious about what your favorite prop bet is on the Super Bowl.
My favorite prop bet, that's one I haven't heard. I've always liked the safety. You know, that's one of my favorites.
Do you take
Because
the
I think you have a
safety?
reasonable chance of getting that safe. I like the safety.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, thank
I
you very
played
much.
defense, so nothing like a
At
safety.
Trinity, yes. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Well, thanks for
Appreciate you
having me.
coming out.
I
This is
appreciate
great.
it. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very much.